So welcome to UFRL for the United States of America. This is going to be round 4, or round 5 actually, sorry, round 5, there you go. And we'll see how the likes of JT Galato and Vic Daddy get on at the front, and a few new drivers as well. I'll quickly go through them. So we've got FGE Maka in the AlphaTauri. I'm going to call him Krem in the Haas, SpongeBob in the Williams, Neon in the Haas, Iron Bro in the Alpine, and that is the new drivers then for tonight. And otherwise, we have Hazer in the Mercedes alongside Motion Hazard. Mr. Poem is in the Red Bull with Black Box. In the McLaren will be Bucky and Jamie. In the Alpine will be Iron Bro and Vic Daddy. In the Alfa Romeo, Steel Lane and JT Galato. In the Haas will be Neon and Krem. In the Ferrari, Usain Bolt alongside Voicey. Williams will see UFRL, Red Bull and SpongeBob. And then you've got down the back, you've got the Aston Martins of Josh and Parkour, and the AlphaTauris of Maka and Rusted Bolt. So we are readying up, and we are able to go a couple of minutes early, as we have all 20 drivers in the lobby. Nice and early, really good stuff. And yes, that is correct. All 20 drivers are full grid and full qualifying as well, followed by the 28 laps at the Circuit of the Americas. How will everyone do through the twists and turns of Sector 1? Then you've got the long straight in Sector 2, and a few more twists and turns in Sector 3. So I'll just sort things out then. For qualifying I will include a full track map. Everyone's going to be on the soft, you presume. Some may use the medium tyres early doors in qualifying. So I'm going to keep the tyre situation up. It will be interesting with full qualifying who will opt for softs, who will opt for mediums to save a set of the softs later in qualifying. And I will go with the fastest lap as well. So we'll just see then who will be the first to go out on the track. I'll just scroll through each of the drivers then. So, can anybody fend off JT Galato tonight? Mr. Poem got a second place finish last week. Vic Daddy is always up there. Hazer should be a contender, you imagine, but let's be honest, there's quite a few contenders. Usain Bolt, Motion Hazard, Red Bull, Jamie is quick. So yeah, you've definitely got a fair few, and then you've got the new drivers as well. So a lot of competition here in Tier 1, as you would expect. Certainly more competition this time around than last season, as you see. 3 drivers at the moment. Quite a few actually, heading out onto the mediums. So be very keen to see how Neon, Josh, Hazer, Hazard and Black Box, all on the medium tyres, early doors. And it is Josh in the Aston Martin. That is the broadcast. There you go. It's a bit weird sometimes. They give you a weird camera angle for the broadcast view, but that is the broadcast view right there for Josh in the Aston Martin. And now what I'm going to do, I will get the stream up so I can see if anybody is going to be chatting. Right, now the stream is up, so I will be able to see if anybody wants to chat in there. So So yeah, majority of the drivers out on track at the moment are on the medium tyres. Although unfortunately with those mediums though, they could be beneficial for the race, because two sets of mediums could be really useful, whereas you do question how effective will the soft tyres be. So Josh is preparing then to start his flying lap. Do hope that invalidation is only for this lap and not the next lap as well. I think it's only for the one, right? Yeah, it is. Oh, Thick Daddy has left the session, so he will need an invitation. Hello to Shudson, the race control, checking in. And then very beneficial new feature for UFRL, the race control. So any forms of red flags, for instance, will be controlled by the race control. So if you see the likes of Shudson, myself, Mr. Poem as well, I would say us three in particular for the race today. And then for tomorrow, whoever's on comms duty, plus the race control. Those are the important ones to at the moment. I mean, I will only leave if I see a red flag has been called upon. Mrs. P less than impressed that Mr. P is racing, bless him. Yeah. Well, let's see how he holds up today. Hopefully he can stick at it. But either way, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure how beneficial it is, to be honest. But yeah, I get what you mean. But he's one of those. He just wants to race, and you know, it's a difficult one. Yeah, I love the new race control. Definitely, I agree with that, Ghost. Anyways, invalidation for Josh, and so we will try to switch then to who is on a flying lap. Hazer's early on. Voice is only on an out lap. First time is steed lane of 34.8. So I'm going to go. Where's black box? Also early doors. Okay. Usain Bolt on an out lap. Who's the first? Well, I'll say the first. Oh, Neon spun round. Bucky is invalidated. Mr. P, sector 1. You got Iron Bro behind Steel Lane at the moment. Just flicking through with motion hazard invalidating. So I think Hayes will be amongst the next drivers to come through. Oh, never mind that. He's not going to be one of the next drivers to come through. Potentially starting another flying lap. Again, about half the grid are on the medium tyres. I'm presuming Maka invalidated his lap, so he's on the soft tyre, so he's got to get a lap in this time around, you feel? I do see just about on the wheel, he does have enough fuel for up to 6 laps, so he should be okay if he wants to do a bit of long distance running. So Mr. Poem now going through comfortably into sector 3. It'll past a couple of corners then. Now going through the last corner as Voice is set to 34.6. Mr. Poem comes through with a 35.7, goes into the top 5. And a quick time Jamie in the top 3. Who else went out there? Well, there's a few who still haven't set competitive lap times. As Usain Bolt goes P3. So you've got Thick Daddy is on an out lap now. Motion Hazard is coming round the final corner. And the Mercedes will put himself into P6 on the medium tyres. Hazer invalidating again. I have noted something though with Hazer. He's not really the quickest of qualifiers, but he's typically much stronger in the races, I think. As FG Maka does go quickest with a 34.5. Bucky runs wide, no invalidation for the McLaren. He's going to come in and set a 36.3 on the mediums, goes into the top 10. But only 13 drivers have been out on track, so Bucky will need to go again. JT Galato in the Alfa Romeo, only in Sector 2 now. What about Parkour? Is behind on track, and SpongeBob. Where is SpongeBob? Also into Sector 1, so I'm going to go then with JT Galato, a championship leader. I mean, he's been absolutely rapid so far. Thick Daddy has found a serious competitor for sure. It's only a question as to whether Thick Daddy now can keep up with JT Galato, and we'll see how they do in qualifying. Of course, you don't need to go all out in Q1 if you're at the pace of these guys. JT Galato and Thick Daddy, you feel. Medium tyres should get them through to Q2. Saving the soft tyres to Q2 and Q3. Let's see that JT Galato round the final corner and comes in a set to 34.1 and goes 4.5 tenths quicker than Maka on the medium compound tyres. And now you've got Parkour in the Aston Martin, runs wide as well, but again, no invalidation. I'm a bit surprised track limits are as lenient as they are there, as Parkour goes into P11 on the mediums as well. What about SpongeBob now in the Williams, goes into the top 7 on the mediums, a 35 flat. Solid competitive time. Hazer struggling still on the medium tyres in qualifying. And now Josh around the last couple of corners in the Aston Martin. And the soft tyres will take Josh into the top 4 of a 34.8. Thick Daddy has invalidated his lap, so the Alpine will have to go again. And I'm just seeing on his steering wheel he does not have enough fuel to go out again this time around, so he will need to head into the pits. Unless, of course, he wants to take a risk. He is taking a risk, with about 1.5 laps of fuel to go. So he's going to have a barely even half a lap of fuel at the end, so he's going to have to be really careful when he tries to get his car back into the pits. Hopefully he'll do it when there's not too many cars on track, but at the moment certainly quite a few on track, and I see a couple of cars coming out of the pits as well as he invalidates once again, which I'll be honest is probably beneficial for him, because then he doesn't have to think about staying out for the in-lap. So now this will be his in-lap, and I think he can still go out again on the same set of tyres, to be honest. Oh, and Black Box has not invalidated, but he's retired. Where's that? If I could get to a McLaren of Bucky, and there he is, a stricken Red Bull then. Damn. Unlucky for Black Box, and he will be out of qualifying, and that means with him down in P17 that we will only lose 4 more drivers from Q1. And of course Hazer and Leon down in P15 and P16 not setting competitive lap times as yet, as well as Krem, Red Bull and Thick Daddy also not setting lap times. Some of those at the front may feel comfortable enough to not need to go out again. Where's Uzi? I'm actually going to change something though. Not the telemetry. I want lap data on for qualifying, so I can see roughly where they're getting at then. Right, is anybody on a lap time? Krem? No, not in the Haas. Struggling through the S's. Hazer, 4 laps on his medium tyres. A 36.4 is the quickest he's done so far. But again, he's pretty much now run out of fuel, so he will have to go out again on, you presume, will be a set of the soft tyres. So Bucky now in the McLaren is in the top 15 and as it stands would make it through. However, we'll be aware that the likes of Thick Daddy, Red Bull and Hazer, plus the new driver Krem, still have to go out. So Bucky, who is of course one of the quickest in Tier 2, will need to set another time here in Q1. Motion Hazard has gone through the SS successfully. He's about to head on to the back straight. Just go through the chat again. I think I missed quite a lot. Oh, hello. Yes, I have. So, Iron Bro is here. Nice to see. Red, Hazard, don't smash into the pit wall. Well, we are on board with the Mercedes here. Half a second up then into sector 3 now, so should get himself into the 34s, you feel, on a set of soft tyres. JT Galato with the tyres in the pits, I think, and FG Maku, got to say, doing very well. I think he did he set that time on the softs, I believe. But anyways, Motion Hazard then comes in with a 34.7, goes into the top 4. And that should be enough now with less than 5 minutes of the session remaining to secure his place into Q2. In terms of a cut-off point at this moment in time, with 4.5 minutes remaining, you might be thinking low 35s or high 34s probably. So I would presume the top 4 should be safe. But then after that, with some quick drivers behind still yet to set a lap time, you're probably thinking you need to set another or go out again, I think. So I'm going to say from P5 downwards may want to consider going out again. The top 4 should be okay, I think. But we've got the likes of Thick Daddy, Red Bull, Hazer not setting a competitive lap time yet. Krem in a 2 minutes, 2 minutes 16, so you presume he will do something else. Josh has retired in the pit lane. Be very interesting to see if that was the right choice or not. How secure will Josh feel? 34.8, I mean, he must feel secure enough, right? We'll find out now. And Red Bull comes in only a 36.6 on the medium, so again he will probably come out on a set of softs next time around. I'll go back through then. Where's Thick Daddy at? He is in sector 2 heading into sector 3, so where can he get his Alpine? That is the question. So Steelane is back out on track in P6. He's only 5 thousandths behind Josh as well. So can Steelane get? I mean, he's very impressive so far. But if he were to go quicker than Josh, then that would put Josh under a bit more pressure. We'll see Thick Daddy first of all, then still on the medium tyres. Can he get himself into what needs to be the top 15? Surely he will, and yes, P7 with a 34.9, still 8/10 shy of JT Galato. Who else is down there? Red Bull is down there and struggling in the Williams in sector 3. Hazer, is he still on the medium tyres? He is. 36.4 is his quickest time so far. With 2 minutes to go, he won't be able to get back into the pits. So, Hazer has got to do something on these medium tyres. He's got to get himself into the top 15. He obviously has confidence to do that on these tyres. But we'll find out if he can deliver. Where's Mr. Poem on track? He is in sector 3, so we will stay then with Mr. Poem. He's only, well, less than half a tenth away from the top 15 at the moment. Oh, I struggles. I do wonder, is it Red Bull possibly who's struggling? Well, someone for sure. But now we've got Mr. Permanent round the final corner and comes in with a 35 flat, goes into the top 12. As I think Parkour is in the pits now. Iron Bro invalidated. Bucky in the McLaren. Not going any quicker, so Bucky will need this to be his flying lap. Hazer gaining time, but is he gaining enough time to make it through? He's only P17 of 35.9 and he's slowing down. Hazer has finished his qualifying session. He is out in Q1 and he is retired from the session. So there will be a long break then for Hazer, and it looks like Red Bull is about to start his flying up. Is he? Oh no, he's going into the pits. So both Hazer and Red Bull are out of qualifying. A couple of early shocks then, and you would expect those two to make it through, but they are going to be eliminated from Q1. Krem is in the pits. Bucky is the final driver who can improve. So it's going to be between Iron Bro and Bucky. All the top 14 are safe. But it's now just Bucky and Iron Bro who will get into the top 15. Can Bucky get himself through? I'm just going to wait then for his Sector 2 split time, and he's losing 0.6 of a second. He has invalidated this time. The top 15 are all through. Bucky, Hazer, Red Bull, Black Box and Krem have been eliminated from the session. So congratulations to those in the top 15. You're all through to Q2. So JT Galato on the mediums. But you've got to say, Usain Bolt impressing there in P2. Steve Lane also P3. Great effort for those two. Maka P4, showing up on the medium tyres. Very nicely done then. 34.5. If it was on the mediums, then you've got to say, could he push the likes of JT Galato and Vic Daddy? I mean, he's effectively right in between the pairing. Vic Daddy is only P8, but of course that was on the medium tyres. Iron Bro comes round to secure his place, does go a bit quicker, a 35.3, gaining by a 10th. But there you go, it is Bucky, Hazer, Red Bull, Black Box and Krem all out in Q1. A couple of shocks, certainly, in the form of Hazer and Red Bull. So the Mercedes and Williams will be disappointed with that. I mean, Hazer won 3 races last season in Tier 1. Red Bull's always been amongst the quickest as well. So you would definitely have expected them to have done more. However, as I've already stated, Hazer is typically quicker on race day. So I'd expect him to gain a few places if he can avoid getting into any trouble. But a couple of shocks. So JT Galato on the mediums, quickest, 34.119. Usain Bolt delivering very nicely for the Ferraris, but the 2 Alfa Romeos, absolutely rapid. Steve Lane continues to impress. He was Tier 2 last season and flying in Tier 1. He could be a serious contender come Q2 and Q3. Just 0.3 away from JT Galato. And you've got Neon impressing on his debut. Maka also on his debut. Both in the top 5. So we'll have to see now who will be the potential drivers to be eliminated in Q2. But that's what we're going to go to now. It's going to be big then. So how will the likes of Hazer and Red Bull do from the back of the grid? It will be very interesting to see. But here we are now into Q2. And this is where you imagine soft tyres will be mostly used, even by JT Galato. Surely is going to be using those soft tyres. Would it be too risky to use the mediums, especially when they are a couple of laps old now? So you won't be getting 100% pace out of them, but I don't know, JT Galato may be confident enough to do it. But you also wonder, just in case you need those mediums for the race, you may just want to hold out a little bit. So Voicey in the Ferrari is the first out on track, and again, we want the lap data enabled. Bit weird out of all of it, that was like the only thing to have changed. But there you go. Yeah, great number of viewers, 30 in total at the moment. Really solid stuff. Voicey then in the Ferrari, couple of Aston Martins right behind. So it's Josh, followed by Parkour, and then who else behind? You will have Neon is there. I think Iron Bro, who did qualify through in P15. So he will need to step up a little bit to get through into the top 10, and that's what it's all about. Not about pole position right now, it's all about getting into the top 10. And of course, avoiding retiring your car, aka hitting a wall. Don't want to be doing that. So I'm going to go then with Voicey's preparing for his flying lap plan in Sector 3. And actually the majority of the field are already onto track with 13 minutes to go. Early doors of course only a couple of minutes in. It's always exciting watching full quali though. You can always get one or two shocks, that's for certain, and we have got that already, but will there be any more in Q2? We'll find out now as Voicey starts his flying lap in the Ferrari. And that is his teammate, I think Usain Bolt, just coming out behind. Might be helpful for Usain Bolt if he does want a little bit of a slipstream, but actually he's dropping off in a Ferrari, so they may be able to get it the next lap, but let's see. Voicey in through the S's. Pretty decent so far. Oh, but there's a little spin, and that will cost Voicey time. So we'll see then if we can go along with Parkour or Josh. We'll go with Josh being the lead Aston Martin on track. Parkour right behind. Yellow flags I think with the McLaren in Sector 3 of Jamie. I do imagine Voicey that looks like he is just dropping off. I do think it would have been helpful if he had stayed ahead of Usain Bolt and offered a beneficial of slipstream, but we'll see how they both get on. 103.5 for Josh. Can we quickly compare it to Parkour? Oh, Parkour has invalidated, so there won't be any further improvement yet for Parkour from her Q2 showing, or Q1 showing should I say. Yeah, what is everyone's pole position predictions at this moment? I mean, apart from two leading contenders, you've also got Maka has impressed so far, that's for sure, as Josh sets a 34.6 then. And Iron Bro in the Alpine coming in with a 36.1. And Voicey, of course, does go slower, but Neon in the top two, 35 flat. So on board with the Mercedes of Motion Hazard. See a few more drivers setting times. Iron Bro P4. Maka only P3, was expecting a little bit quicker though. And then you've got Jamie is just coming around the final corner now, and he goes quickest, a 34.6. Will Motion Hazard go quicker? He does, a 34.3 for the Mercedes then. And next up will be Usain Bolt in the Ferrari. I don't think he got any slipstream benefits from his teammate, Voicey. Hopefully those two can just work together to help Ferrari claim more points. Totally unbiased, as I'm Ferrari in Tier 2, but there you go. So Usain Bolt now coming around the final couple of corners. All very close on the white line, but very nice in fact. And let's see now, Usain Bolt not quite as quick, 35.1, can certainly improve on that. JT Galato is on a flying lap. And Voicey may be about to go quicker. He does go P4, 34.6. And now what about Mr. Poem? Where will he get the Red Bull? Of course, got to try and get into the top 10. Can he do so? He gets himself into P8 at the moment, 35.7. 10 drivers have set a time. You've got SpongeBob and JT Galato on laps. SpongeBob coming around the final corner. Where would he get his Williams? His teammate already eliminated, and SpongeBob goes P2, 34.5. Just over a tenth behind Motion Hazard. Thick Daddy also now on a hot lap. JT Galato was invalidated, so no improvement now for the Alfa Romeo, but again, you expect he may just go out one more time and he should be okay. But if he continues to invalidate, then he will have to go out again, so you don't want to use too many soft tyres up right now. But for JT Galato, he probably doesn't want to be starting down outside the top 10, nor will Thick Daddy. Anybody else improving right now? So Voicey has gone through the split and SpongeBob invalidated, so I'm just going to stay right now with Voicey and the Ferrari and maybe going into the pits. 0.4 laps of fuel remaining, so he will be going into the pits surely. Yep. Okay. Steelane is going to just start a lap, so Stalen with Thick Daddy in the Alpine. Last season's Tier 1 champion. Where will he place his car in Q2? Will he go quickest of all so far? He does, 33.6, and Thick Daddy has arrived at the Circuit of the Americas then. And there you go, Steelane has invalidated. He was third fastest in Q1. And now Parkour in the Aston Martin, just gone through the back straight into sector 3 now. Takes a nice wider line there, so can she get her Aston Martin into the top 10? Most drivers have set competitive times at the moment. Just 3 more to go as Parkour heads into the pits then. So Steelane, I'm guessing, not going to improve, so it's just Thick Daddy and Steelane on laps. But with Thick Daddy going quickest, I presume he will just go straight into the pits. Likewise the Steelane. So it will be FG Macca then. Oh, no, Macca is not on a hot lap actually. I don't know why they remove the outlap signal when do they only do it when you enter sector 3 possibly? Even though he's going straight in the pits anyway. Like Rusted Bolt is in sector 3 now and it's saying the same thing. Like he's not on a hot lap, this is still his outlap. I think that's what they do actually. Very interesting. Didn't actually know exactly when they got rid of it, I just always thought it was a bit weird. Doesn't make too much sense to get rid of it in sector 3, just do it when they start a lap, surely. But anyway, it's Rusted Bolt on a flying lap. He is outside the top 10 in the AlphaTauri. His teammate Macca in P8. And I will just actually check on the tyre situation, and mediums for Mr. Poem and JT Galato. Back on the mediums. JT Galato is directly behind Rusted Bolt, I believe. Just check on that. Yes, he is. So no improvement then for Rusted Bolt. And Usain Bolt is next to start his flying lap. Only P9 at the moment, but has more pace to offer than that. He is on the soft tyres as well. So 13 of the 15 On the softs, only the two, Mr. Poem and JT Galato. On the mediums, and there's certainly a couple of drivers starting flying laps or about to start flying laps. Usain Bolt gaining by 1.5 tenths at the moment, so should be able to get himself into the 34s if he can keep up with this improvement. Now on the back straight, any more improvement to be on offer then for the Ferrari, as he, I mean, I think mid 34s is possible on this lap. Let's see. Again, he has shown pace this season to be up there with the front runners, and actually 7 tenths improving at the moment. Keep up with this and he may even find himself into the 33s, which again would be right up there with the likes of Vic Daddy and JT Galato, you feel. Surely at least low 34s for Usain Bolt. Oh, and he runs wide and he's invalidated his lap. And he's set a 34.2, would have been comfortably through, would have been second quickest. But with 3 minutes of a session remaining, and he's not got much fuel left, it's going to be a real challenge then for Usain Bolt to stick at it and go and advance to Q3. So Usain Bolt is now under pressure just because he ran wide. Ironbro is on a flying lap then in the Alpine. And I think, just looking at the times at the moment, is he potentially improving? I'm not sure. Let's see. Now he's into the 130s. Possibly is improving actually. I think he is comfortably, and he is. Yeah, P7 34.9. So, and there was another improvement, which means Usain Bolt has been dropped out of the top 10. Mr. Poem down in P12. Rusted Bolt P11. 35 flat. Two AlphaTauris struggling to make it through at the moment. You imagine Maka should be able to go quicker and has gained half a second in Q1 in sector 1 alone. Steel Lane is up to P4. Rapid stuff. Neon now under pressure as Mr. Poem is out. Parkour on an outlap. And Neon, this is not his flying lap, this is only an outlap. So Neon now starting his flying lap. Mr. Poem has retired from the session and is out in Q2. And now Maka, let's see. Oh, I was going to say, could have been in invalidation. He is gaining now by 8.5 tenths. Surely Maka will just play it comfortable here. He doesn't need to push too much. He's effectively going to qualify anyways. As I do note as well, JT Galato in the top 5 on the medium tyres. And now FG Maka comes through, surely going to get comfortably through, and he is. P2, 33.7. And that pushes Neon out of the top 10. But Neon is improving by 2 tenths of a second. What about Ironbro? Is he just preparing for a flying lap? Yes, he is. And he will get across the line to do so. Voicey losing 1 second apparently. We'll just see how he is through the sector 2 split. Let's find out if that losing a second is truthful. And it is 2.2 seconds. So Voicey currently P9 and the 2 Ferraris are under pressure. Usain Bolt is out. He is in the pits. And the checkered flag is now out. So Neon goes third fastest. Ironbro now in the drop zone in the Alpine. He is in sector 2 at the moment, just going through the twists and turns off the S's. And let's see now, Voicey heads into the pits. Only P10 at the moment. So both Ferraris could be out in Q2. Let's go then with Parkour running wide, costing the Aston Martin time. Let's see, Can Parkour get herself into the top 10? No! Parkour is out, P11. And the Aston Martin just on the cusp of the top 10, but not quite delivering. So now it's two drivers, Ironbro and Rusted Bolt. Ironbro is gaining by 1.5 tenths. What about Rusted Bolt? Hasn't validated, so it's only Ironbro who can improve. P9 and upwards are through to Q3. So Ironbro or Voicey who will advance into the final qualifying session, and it won't be Ironbro who hasn't validated this lap. And that means that Voicey has just about got himself into the top 10. And there you go, Parkour is out. Ironbro, Rusted Bolt, Usain Bolt and Mr. Poem are the 5 drivers out in Q2. And there you go, as we would have thought on a FGE Macca, he is right up there, second fastest. Steelane did drop down to 7th. JT Galato still looking very quick on the medium tyres, 3 laps old, at least from this session, but 34.4. So everybody now has set their times. And I think for me, the biggest surprise is Usain Bolt. P14, but has the pace of a front runner. So again, another driver who you feel has pace, starting near the back of the grid. Usain Bolt, Hazer and Red Bull, all starting P14 and down. And we are about to start then the Q3 session. Who will claim pole position? Well, JT Galato, Thick Daddy, Macca has to be considered a front runner as well. Is it just between those 3? Or can someone else push themselves closer? So we are preparing then to start the final qualifying session. Invalidated listen next lap, moving out of the way on my out lap for Josh, but still did get himself through. And Parkour couldn't get the S's right, had more time to gain. Yes, just missed out as well on the top 10. But I mean, the S's are always the more technical part of the track. Even if you couldn't get it right, you'd be better than me at it for sure, so don't worry too much. And again, you're tier 1, so you may need to worry a little bit on that one. So leave the telemetry off, keep lap data. Detail. Okay, now this is the point where surely JT Galato will be using 2 sets of soft tyres. Witness the thickness. Yes, well, now it's just about who can go quickest, and Thick Daddy or JT Galato or Macca. Surely one of those 3, right? Any other contenders apart from those? Well, Neon has done pretty well. Steelane has done solid. Gotta say, very impressed with him. Motion Hazard always has some form of pace. Jamie, I feel like so far has sort of gone under the radar. I would say he's normally quicker than what I've seen from him this tonight anyways, so he may have a bit more pace to showcase here in Q3. JT Galato has already invalidated on his outlap, but yeah, so at the moment everyone is heading out early doors. It's only Josh left to head out onto the track. So actually, let's be honest, I don't think I'll say that. The only reason why I keep the full track map on now during qualifying is so I can see which cars are coming through to start flying laps or to finish their laps. So Thick Daddy is the last. Where's JT Galato? He is the first. So there you go. First JT Galato, last Thick Daddy. I'll give you a nice little lap of JT Gelato then, providing he doesn't invalidate it. Of course, the one time you want to see JT Gelato's full lap, he will invalidate, right? It's just the way things go, surely. He's invalidated a couple, I think, so far, but JT Gelato now is starting his flying lap. The championship leader for Tier 1. Where would he guide his car? Early doors, of course. Through the S's. Oh, and there you go. As I said, commentator's curse, and he has invalidated his lap. So, one of the other contenders is Maka. 25.8. Oh, I just missed Jamie's time. What about Voicey? 25.5. So Voicey was quicker than Maka through the S's. Can Maka make his time up then for the AlphaTauri? Also note, not many teams have two drivers here in Q3. Trying to figure out which teams actually do have two drivers. Just the Alfa Romeo, I think, is it? JT Gelato and Steve Lane. I don't think anyone else has two drivers. There you go. So there are 9 different teams. So which is the team who don't have it? Red Bull? I think Red Bull, right? Yeah, so Red Bull are the only team who do not have a participant. And Maka now hasn't validated, so we'll just go with Jamie. JT Gelato and Maka not able to set lap times. Maka does stay out. Jamie comes in with a 34.1. And does Voicey go quicker? Yes, only just 300ths between Voicey and Jamie. And we'll go then with Steve Lane, who has looked very impressive so far. 34.9, not his best of laps, however. Neon heads into the pits. What about SpongeBob? Can the Williams get himself quicker? 34.1 still. Wow, very close between Voicey, SpongeBob and Jamie. All in the 34.1s. As Vic Daddy, there you go. 33.2 for the Alpine, the quickest time we have seen so far. And that will put a bit of pressure on JT Gelato then, and also FGE Maka. Those two will feel they have pace to compete at the front of the field. So Maka invalidated. Jamie, you just presume, will head into the pits as well. Either way, he has also invalidated. I'm also going to presume Motion Hazard surely will head into the pits. I am a bit surprised with Josh staying in the pits, but then he may only have one set of softs left, possibly. Can't be too certain, or either that or he may just be leaving a fresh set of softs for the race, just in case you need it late on. Motion Hazard is actually staying out, so this will be a flying lap, albeit with one lap hold of tyres, and it's a 34.2 goes into the top 5. So it looks like everyone else opting to head into the pits then. So, JT Gelato is now back on an outlap. And the final couple of corners for here for the Alfa Romeo to start his flying lap then. Another opportunity to push closer towards Vic Daddy. And yes, just whilst JT Gelato was just started his lap, don't forget our 5-minute break. Check Discord for what time we can go racing. And also thank you for watching our live races. If you haven't already, please give us a follow. And if you want to subscribe to the channel as well, of course, feel free to do that. So JT Galato in the Alfa Romeo, can he strive towards greatness? Can he push towards Vic Daddy? I mean, he's been superb so far, although not his finest moment there, heading onto the back straight. But how much time would that have cost him? Surely not too much, but when you've got him, Vic Daddy and Maka as the three quickest, it seems. Oh, you could really take that corner however you like. I mean, it's almost like you don't need to, you know, track limit is not a thing at that corner. That's crazy. I mean, the amount of time you gain. I'm not sure which turn it is, but wow. And also here, track limits isn't really a thing. You can run wide quite comfortably. It doesn't give you any warning. But anyway, JT Galato. Will he go quick as he does? A 32.9. He goes 3/10 faster than Vic Daddy. And now, it's FGE Maka, who is not on a hot lap. So, we'll have to abort away from him as Josh has invalidated. I'm presuming at the final corner he must have ran wide. So sadly for Josh. Is he just going to have to go into the pits with 3.5 minutes remaining? He may have to do that. And get a final fresh set of soft tyres on. Still would expect Steve Lane to set a competitive lap time as well. And he's not on, he's only on an out lap. Maka through the S's he goes. Some interesting braking points so far, I've got to say. There are yellow flags for what must be JT Galato in sector 3, possibly has run out of fuel. And maybe for Josh as well. Nope, so Josh just getting out of the way of Maka actually. No fuel issues there. So Maka only has 1 lap of fuel remaining. So does he decide to continue with this lap, or does he opt to head into the pits and change his tyres? Well, we've got 2.5 minutes to go, so he can head into the pits and change his tyres and quickly get out there, I think. Although I might run it close, actually. This is probably the latest point any driver can go in the pits. Same for Josh. And Maka is staying out then. And won't go quickest. He only goes third fastest of 33.5. 6/10 behind JT Galato, and that is exactly 6/10. A couple of drivers heading out on track as Josh is on another hot lap. What about Steve Lane? 4/10 gained. Is it enough though? I mean, he's been quick so far. But I mean, yeah, third fastest in Q1. He was, what, 7th I think in Q2. And now Steve Lane comes in and goes, actually stays P8 at 34.3, and Josh has been disqualified from the session for driving the wrong way around the S's. So does that mean he starts P10, or does that mean he starts at the back of the grid? That'd be nice to figure that one out actually. Motion Hazard just started his lap. Vic Daddy is in the final sector, but it's only on an out lap, so 1 minute to go. You've got Vic Daddy about to start his flying lap. You've got FG Maka about to head into the pits with no fuel remaining, so Maka third at best. Voicey only in the pits, so won't set another time. He is currently in the top 4. SpongeBob in sector 3, Jamie also in sector 3. As Vic Daddy has retired from a session. And that will mean, surely, unless there's a shock on the cards, it will be JT Galato on pole position then. as Maka follows suit, retiring in the pits. I don't actually think Thick Daddy retired in the pits. It looked like it was through Liesis. Just saw his car removed. So it's not Steelane. Oh! And Hazard's not going to improve. He is retiring, and just JT Galata going quicker. No. What about Steelane heading into the pits? Where's everyone else on the track? So it's only SpongeBob, Jamie, and Neon to go, and Neon will be the first of the trio, followed by Jamie, followed by SpongeBob. So I feel like a second row start is possible for all three. 102.9 through the sector 2 split for Neon. Looking nice so far in the Haas. And he has shown some promise so far, so it wouldn't shock me if he's on the second row. Now he's heading into the final couple of corners, and where can he deliver the Haas car? And Neon goes into the top 4, and he is on the second row at the moment. And SpongeBob will not be improving, so it's just down to Jamie in the McLaren. Will he be on the second row? He will not be on the second row, and that will go just to Neon. But that is the full grid, and JT Galato clinches another point. He is in the championship lead. And it's him ahead of Thick Daddy, FGE Maka, Neon, Voicey, SpongeBob, Jamie, Hazard, Steelane, and then Josh. I'm still questioning, is Josh starting P10 or is he starting P20? Let's figure that one out, shall we? I do hope he's only starting P10, but we never know with disqualifications. It might be starting at the back. It's possible. So, let's see the race director. Surely, disqualification. Surely, P10. Oh, okay. Maybe he got away with it then. I was just wondering, does he start like... P20 though would be harsh, but you don't truly know if the game would allow you to start P10 or not. But anyways, there you go, JT Galato, 3/10 ahead of Thick Daddy, but those two were certainly the quickest, but you've still got to say Maka still has to be a contender. And Neon comfortably getting onto the second row as well. And as I said, only Red Bull not having a driver in the top 10. So all the teams are very well split as well. Only Alfa Romeo having both drivers in Q3. And we now have the 5-minute break. We will go at 21 o'clock, aka 9 o'clock PM in the UK. Not gonna lie, I didn't even realise it was that time already. There you go. So I'm just going to go for a short break then. I will keep the stream up. I'll just put it on pause and I'll be back then in a couple of minutes time for the formation lap. Okay, so we are back, Glenn. We are about to get underway in 30 seconds time. Be very interesting to see how the start of the race unfolds. JT Galato, Vic Daddy, Maka, all in the top 3. They have certainly been the 3 fastest in qualifying, you feel, although Usain Bolt will feel like he's been up there as well. And was one of the quickest in Q2 if it weren't for the invalidation. And now we'll have a little check for the tyres. And it's mediums and hards all round. JT Galato and Vic Daddy on the hard tyres. Maka down on the mediums, as is Neon, Voicey and SpongeBob. So this makes things interesting. Can JT Galato and Vic Daddy hold on to the top 2, especially with a couple of quick drivers behind? You've got Jamie and Hazard in the midfield on the hards. 4 drivers behind on the mediums. They are Steel Lane, the 2 Aston Martins of Josh and Parkour, and Ironbro. Hards for Rusted Bolt, mediums for Usain Bolt. Hards for Mr. Poem, mediums for Bucky and Hazer. Hards for Red Bull and Black Box, and the mediums for Creme at the back of the grid. Of course, the bottom 5 would have had a lengthy wait for the start of the race. So again, I'm just going to get the chat back up. So support for Mr. P, and fingers crossed his knee holds out and he's not in too much pain yet. Absolutely. Hopefully it'll be okay. We'll see how he can do. And hopefully the more he recovers, the more effectively the better it will sort of go, I guess, the recovery stage. Didn't think he was racing today, but good on him. Yeah. So, seeing the likes of Usain Bolt P14, Hazer P17, Red Bull P18, how will they do at the back of the grid as well? How many places can they make up? Only Red Bull of the trio is on the hard tyres, the other 2 on the mediums. I'm not surprised nobody has opted for the softs, to be honest. And on the start of the grid, I'm going to go with... The battle was between the top 3, surely. So I'm going to go on board with Maka for the start in the AlphaTauri. So you can see the front 3. I'll check back behind if necessary. I was going to wonder, where's the car on the right? It was Black Box. Okay. So, we are about to go racing then. 3, 4, 5 lights. And it is... lights out and away we go. And FG Maka gets a great start. Vic Daddy struggling and has been swarmed by a few drivers behind. He will drop back considerably. JT Galato gets away well, and it's SpongeBob up into the top 2. An epic start by him. It's Neon battling with Maka side by side, heading into the S's, and Neon has the position. So that is your top 3. Maka's dropped back. Voicey in P5. Vic Daddy has lost a few places, down to 6th place. And he will need to make up places because JT Galato, who is absolutely rapid, is in the lead. Jamie 7th, then it's Motion Hazard. Creme still at the bottom and at the back of the field. I'll just check then with the position changes then. And as you can see, it's a clean getaway, it seems, for the majority of the drivers. Very well done early doors in Tier 1. It's the close battles like Motion Hazard seems quite close behind, but Ironbro and Steel Lane battling out, and Ironbro takes his place into the top 9. He has gained 3 places so far, each on Steel Lane, Josh and Parkour, and it's side-by-side action ahead. 4 drivers battling it out. The McLaren potentially going off track, but has the position, and also Vic Daddy continuing to struggle. He is only P10 behind Steve Lane in the Alfa Romeo. Unbelievable for Vic Daddy. He is struggling down 8 places. What is going on? He can't get those hard tyres up to temperature quickly enough. Real struggles early doors, and he'll be concerned. JT Galato still leading the race. And he's under pressure actually from just behind. Usain Bolt takes the place of Parkour into the top 12. There's a late move by Usain Bolt. Contact made with Parkour, who now loses a place to her teammate. And that will be going to the stewards. Hazer now all over the back of Parkour. I'm not sure there was any contact between the pairing, but either way, Parkour stays ahead. Mr. Poem closing in on Russell Bolt, both of which have lost a couple of places each. And a place has been made now. Vic Daddy is into the top 8, ahead of both Iron Bro and Steve Lane. It is close racing though between the majority of the drivers. How's Maka getting on? He is in pursuit of Neon. Haas versus AlphaTauri. Haas just staying ahead at the moment as JT Galato pulls out a second on SpongeBob, who has gained 4 places on the start of the race. Josh and Hazer earning a place apiece on Steve Lane and Parkour. Hazer is gaining places but now dropping back behind Parkour. We'll check in with that battle then. They are side by side and looks like Hazer on the inside has the position and is up into the top 12. Usain Bolt P15, Red Bull still only P18. Krem has taken the place of Black Box, and there's your first to go off the track. It's Iron Bro, but oh, very close. You've got to say between Iron Bro and Red Bull, but Iron Bro stays with the 20 drivers. The only gap is with Motion Hazard back to the top 5, who have pulled away a 2.5 second advantage. So we're seeing on the position change. I'm going to go back and with the tyre situation. And I've got to say, everyone just wants to stay with whoever's on their compound tyres. I mean, got 4 medium tyre runners, P2 through to P5. Then you've got the hard tyre runners. Then you've got a set of mediums again. Then you've got a few on the hards. I mean, there you go. Nobody wants to mix things up. Oh, and Mr. Poem at the back, unfortunately. There's the 2 Red Bulls at the back now. JT Galato still out in front. Boise is closing on Neon, who has been passed by Maka, who can now look to challenge SpongeBob. What about Jamie and Motion Hazard? Battling it out, and they will have Vic Daddy on the cusp as well in the Alpine, looking to close down to get himself into the top 6. He was down in P6 after the opening couple of sectors, but possibly his hard tyres have got back and heated up. Just one ride potentially. Oh, as Maka does go quick. It's a 37.6, faster than what JT Galato has done so far, albeit with the aid of DRS as well. The only problem from Vic Daddy is that Jamie will be in DRS range of Motion Hazard. Motion Hazard will struggle, as he is now over 3 seconds behind Boise. Parkour picks up the first penalty in the race. Mr. Poem is in the pits. Do wonder if he's retiring from the race or not. At the moment he is not, so just a change of tyres on the mediums now. It's Vic Daddy a few tenths still behind Jamie and is closing up. Didn't really need too much on the DRS, but now Jamie has DRS. He's keeping the gap, but will Vic Daddy make a move down the inside? He is, and surely has to move on the McLaren, who is off the track now. But Vic Daddy is into P7 and now needs to pass Motion Hazard and then close in on the top 5 drivers. So he's starting to make his way back through the field. In fact, JT Galato's gap is still only 6.5 tenths to SpongeBob. So all of the top 5 are staying together with DRS. JT Galato still staying ahead. Motion Hazard now with a 3-second penalty. And actually, Macca is closer to SpongeBob now. Now what SpongeBob is to JT Galato as they are heading into the S's. I've got to say, from what I've seen so far, very, very clean in the opening 5 laps of the race. Let's drop down. Bucky is close towards parkour. Not close enough, of course, still through the S's though. So we'll actually head back now. Can SpongeBob push for position? Or actually Macca is still closer, so Macca not heading into the slipstream of JT Galato and SpongeBob ahead. Breaks a bit later. Very nicely actually. He does look very comfortable and stable with his driving, I've got to say. His cornering speed and corner exits very nice for the AlphaTauri as he looks to still try and make an overtake on SpongeBob. Oh! And JT Galato has lost it. And he's now down to P5 and he will have Motion Hazard and Thick Daddy right behind. And now it's the top 4 and Macca has the lead of the race. And did actually have DRS there. So SpongeBob now stays P2, but he's not behind JT Galato, he is behind Macca. Neon also very close through the S's. Parkour and Usain Bolt switching positions. And actually Usain Bolt has lost a place to Rusted Bolt as well. So not so easy at the back for the 2 Bolt and also for the Red Bull. Parkour picks up another 3-second penalty. Black Box picking up his first and Josh as well. So racking up the penalties a little bit. Not too much of a surprise as the S's is very technical. You will do very well if you avoid penalties at the Circuit of the Americas, I've got to say. And actually SpongeBob closer to Macca, sorry, not able to make the move on the back straight. Thick Daddy will be really keen to overtake Motion Hazard as quickly as he can, because he will see JT Galato on his 5-driver screen. So further back, you've got C-Lane close on Josh. C-Lane still in the top 10, but Hazer, who started quite far back, is already up into P11. Further behind, you've got battles here going on. Yellow flags. And the yellow flags, I think, is for Black Box. The 2 Red Bulls continuing, unfortunately, their struggles at the moment at the back of the field. And you've still got Macca ahead of SpongeBob and Neon. Having a bit of desync, actually, it seems. But he is P3. And Thick Daddy is now ever so close towards Motion Hazard. Got to say, a lot of early action here at the Circuit of the Americas. 18 drivers now close to each other. Okay, there are a couple of gaps. Red Bull now picking up a penalty as well. Yeah, only a couple of gaps, so the majority of the field doing very well to stick at it. That's Thick Daddy with DRS. How close is he getting towards Motion Hazard? Not close enough. Hazard just has enough speed at the moment to keep Thick Daddy at bay, both on the hard tyres. Likewise, is JT Galato ahead. Is JT Galato closing in on the top 4? Yes, he is, because Voice is at a spin. So he is closing in on the top 4. He is now in the top 4. There you go. Good timing for that, right? So now JT Galato is 4th, Thick Daddy is 6th, where he basically was early doors. Although JT Galato running wide. But again, it probably wouldn't have got a track limits warning. But I do think he's potentially lost a bit of time to the top 3 anyway. Thick Daddy is still very close to Motion Hazard. Hazer all over the back of Steel Lane, who was chasing down the Aston Martin of Josh. And Parkour battling with Bucky. The duo trading their tiers from last season. Bucky was tier 1 and Parkour was tier 2. Now it's the other way around. And Parkour is chasing down tonight's healer Bucky. And this is the closest battle. I mean, there are many close battles with Usain Bolt also right behind. And now you've got Steel Lane also closing in and overtaking Josh. Thick Daddy also passing Motion Hazard. Although Motion Hazard with the inside line. Potential contact made. And Thick Daddy down the inside. Space afforded by Motion Hazard. And Motion Hazard hold on to P5, but down the inside goes Thick Daddy, and he has to move on the Mercedes. Can the Mercedes fight back off Motion Hazard? I don't think he'll be able to, and Thick Daddy is into the top 5. And now Macca in the lead of the race will see both JT Galato and Thick Daddy on his screen. And it will be for the first time for Macca since the early days of the race. It's a big news for Thick Daddy to push himself into the top 5. He really did need that. And now he needs to close the gap towards JT Galato. And meanwhile, has still not really closed in a lot on the top 3. Very interesting. But Motion Hazard, if he can stick with it, with Thick Daddy through the S's, will have DRS. I think at the moment he is close enough. About 6 or 7 tenths behind. Would have lost time there though. 8.5 tenths. Yeah, he will be in DRS range as Parkour picks up another penalty. How many penalties has Parkour got? 9 seconds inside 9 laps. At the moment, Parkour is going to pick up 28 seconds of penalties at this rate. But anyways, Motion Hazard is just not closing in on Thick Daddy, who is actually, if anything, Thick Daddy is closing in on JT Galato. Meanwhile, Macca is outside the 1 second window of SpongeBob, who is also outside the 1 second window of Neon. So there is no DRS up for the top 5. And Motion Hazard in 6th is the only one with DRS in the top 7. Although the likes of Steel Lane, Josh and Hazer are all running almost a second apart from each other. Certainly got Parkour all over the back of Voicey. And there are pit stops being made by Hazer from the medium tyres. He will go to the hard tyres to the end. He was stuck in traffic and should have clear air at the back now. Providing he doesn't come out behind Black Box, who is in the Red Bull on the hard tyres. And in fact, it may be a battle between the pair. And let's see. Will Hazer come out ahead of Black Box? Yes, he will. So Hazer has got plenty of space ahead. And now, once the hard tyres are up to track, he will be able to close in on those who he is battling with and should be able to pass them through the power of the undercut. We'll see now as Parkour continues to battle with Voicey. What about Steel Lane? Is he closing in on Jamie? Not really. Bucky has got straight line speed for days and is closing in on Usain Bolt. Will he make a move down the inside? No. But the McLaren did look very, very pacey there. Red Bull all over the back of Rusted Bolt ahead. The Williams in the top 15 only. In the top 15. Very close between the pairing, however. No contact made. Gotta say, still very nicely done for tier 1 so far. Gotta say, a long right-hander, so nice. Oh, and there you go. Not so nice for Rusted Bolt. And he loses the place to Red Bull, who is now up to P14 and is all over the back of both Bucky and Usain Bolt. Voicey heading into the pits. There are yellow flags. I'm not sure who it's for. Who are the yellow flags for? Either the Ferrari or the AlphaTauri. Might have been Rusted Bolt actually, as Bucky is into P11. Usain Bolt is still right behind. Any battles going on further ahead? Lane closing in on Jamie. Motion Hazard still within 1 second of Thick Daddy. And now JT Galato's hard tyres are closing in on the top 3. He wasn't supposed to be, but man does what he wants, doesn't he? Yes. Yes, is the answer to that question. Hazer, it's hammer time. It is. And he's only 3.5 seconds behind Rusted Bolt now. Oh, and a move has been made then. So Red Bull passing Usain Bolt down the back straight, and now has Bucky ahead before he can close in on the 2 Aston Martins, who are both in the top 10 right now. But with pit stops made by Hazer and Voicey, they may not be in the top 10 for too long. Red Bull just with a bit of wheel spin. They've cost him some time. Maka heads into the pits from the medium tyres from the lead of the race. And also Bucky ahead in the pits. And it allows for Red Bull to strive through. Quite a few now heading into the pits from the medium tyres onto hards. And I'd be keen to see where Hazer is compared to those who have pitted. Very close battle then between Maka and Red Bull. And can Red Bull overtake Maka on cold, hard tyres? He does. And Red Bull is now into 9th place, of course. Still has to pit, but Maka losing that place could be crucial for the AlphaTauri. Jamie picking up another penalty. It's the latest to pick up a penalty. Hazer is battling away with Josh side by side. The Aston Martin and the Mercedes. Hazer has the position now and is up to P13. Now what about Maka? Still close enough towards Red Bull and is in DRS range. Is he closing the gap? He is a bit. Will be gained a few tenths on the back straight. Meanwhile, JT Galato has now got himself within the 1 second window of second placed Neon. Thick Daddy still not yet closing in on JT Galato, however. So it could still be a battle between those 3 drivers at the start of the race in terms of JT Galato, Thick Daddy and Maka. But maybe don't discount the likes of SpongeBob and Neon. And who knows, if Hazer can make his way through. Well, saying that, he has just been passed by Josh. Potentially a mistake made by Hazer. And it must have been a mistake because he has lost well over a second to Josh ahead. So yeah, Lane, Parkour and Ironbro all in the pits. Going side by side then, Maka and Red Bull right at it again. Maka is now ahead off the Williams. And Maka will look to close in on SpongeBob, who has just pitted and has completed an overcut on Maka as a result of Maka battling away with Red Bull. I say, it doesn't look so tidy, does it, with those two? Although Red Bull struggling then on his 12-lap old hard tyres. Shouldn't be struggling that much at this stage. And he's on the back straight then. Maka surely is in a position to retake the place of SpongeBob, move back into the top 5. These two are the lead drivers of those who have pitted already, and Maka is now up into 5th place. So let's see, further behind, Neon is behind Red Bull, and he was in P3 before pitting. JT Galato then on the hards can start to pull away Thick Daddy and Motion Hazard also there. Motion Hazard probably one of the other drivers who cannot yet be discounted from what could be a potential podium, perhaps. He's not losing too much time to JT Ganato and Thick Daddy. We are halfway through the race. SpongeBob with a 3-second penalty. What about Voicey right behind Hazer? Also, we'll note Josh is ahead of Steelane after Steelane pitted. Neon has made a move on Red Bull, but has ran wide. Oh, very close between the pairing. And all still very close, and Red Bull has surely now lost a wheel, and indeed he has. And now the question has to be, will that be a safety car? I'm surprised that Red Bull made a real push to move it. On screen, I have to say, it didn't look like he was really yielding, and that it was always difficult to go side by side through there. But there you go. We'll see anyways. Obviously, I only get one view on it, so we'll see. The stewards will get a better view than what I had on that, that's for sure. But there is no form of safety car, no virtual safety car. So JT Galato, Thick Daddy and Motion Hazard are sticking at it in the top 3. And SpongeBob still in DRS range of Macca ahead. Don't know, maybe the stewards were just getting a bit bored of the race, eh? There'll be no real major collisions so far. There you go. You've got one now. And an overtake again being made. Hazer, Voicey, Parkour entering the fray as well. And takes an interesting line on the curb. And Hazer runs wide, and that will cost him some time, but not enough time. Parkour stays behind. But Hazer isn't really close enough to Voicey at this moment in time, but surely on the back straight should take the pace back. But the issue is, when they're continuously battling, they're just going to lose time to the cars ahead. You also got like Bucky right behind Black Box. This is for P14, although Black Box still needs to pit. Asta's of course top 4 plus 8th placed Rusted Bolt. They still need to pit. Through the S's they go then, and Bucky not quite in position right now, but let's see as he's about to go on the back straight. And what about these two, Hazer and Parkour, still chasing down Voicey. Hazer then the first to have DRS, followed by Parkour, who is surely closer. And it is going to be, looks like Bucky has made the move on Black Box, and now Parkour down the inside of Hazer. And is through on the back straight into P12. Thus, as Bolt picks up a 3-second penalty. And now there are pit stops made at the front, and it is Thick Daddy and Motion Hazard. So the only question is now, where is Macca on the track? He is going to be well ahead of Thick Daddy, you feel. What about SpongeBob then? Yeah, also well ahead. So where is Thick Daddy compared to the likes of Macca and SpongeBob? He is behind Neon. So those who are out in P6 and P7. Yellow flags, it is. Oh, it's Steelane. He can still go. Might have some damage. It's just past the pit lane, unfortunately for him, so he won't be able to change his front wing if he needs to. I do wonder now, can he does have a front wing intact, but he still may have some damage. So unfortunately for him, he is in P17, but he may have to pit again. He may even have some form of rear wing damage. Unfortunately not quite visible to our screen. Further back you've got Hazer, Parkour still battling it out alongside Voicey. These three certainly been at it for a few laps now. And there may be potential for Usain Bolt to move in this battle likewise. And Hazer now can dive down the inside of Parkour, do exactly what Parkour did on the previous lap, and there you go, Hazer into P11. The unfortunate thing is for these two drivers is they're battling each other, but they're not battling Voicey ahead. Voicey is staying clear. Could be beneficial maybe for Parkour to allow Hazer to stay ahead and allow Hazer to catch up to Voicey, because there is a gap from Voicey to P9, and if there is one of the three drivers to be able to catch that, surely it would be Hazer, and then just slip in, slip behind Hazer, and surely he will close the gap towards some drivers higher up the field. That's Josh and Jamie battling it out then. Both have indeed pitted, as has Russell Bolt, but he's on 16 lap old hard tyres, hoping potentially for a safety car and a wider line for Jamie. But he just stays ahead of Josh. What about further ahead? Vic Daddy is right behind Neon and will have DRS. He's not too far behind JT Galato actually. So on the back straight, Vic Daddy with DRS will pass Neon. And let's see the gap back to JT Galato. It's just over a second between JT Galato and Vic Daddy for P3. SpongeBob in P2 does have a penalty as well. It's looking good for Macca, however, medium tyres behind for JT Galato and Vic Daddy. So you've still got Josh and Rusted Bolt in DRS range of Jamie in the McLaren. Might just have a little check up on the penalty situation then. So it is 3 seconds for motion hazard. Jamie, Josh, Rusted Bolt, Hazer, Bucky, Iron Bro, Krem and Mr. Poem. 6 seconds already for SpongeBob. And that could be pivotal for him come the end of the race. May at this rate cost him a podium, that's for certain. And you've also got 6 seconds for Black Box, 9 seconds on the board for Parkour. And Russell Bolt is now in the pits. And Jamie is already over 8 seconds behind the top 6 who have flew away. And more penalties on offer, unfortunately. JT Galato is within 1 second of SpongeBob now. And can the Alfa Romeo push for an overtake? The issue is, SpongeBob is also within a second of Macca. And you do wonder at this moment in time, could it be useful for Macca to not try and get a second ahead of SpongeBob, just to try and keep SpongeBob in DRS range of him? As long as he doesn't feel SpongeBob would overtake, and even if he does, SpongeBob has 6 seconds worth of penalties, whereas Macca and JT Galato don't. I don't know, it could be a smart move for Macca to allow SpongeBob to stay in this battle, knowing that SpongeBob isn't really going to take the victory here with his penalties. And SpongeBob certainly with those struggles. There you go, never mind that. Ignore what I've just said. JT Galato has made a pass on SpongeBob as SpongeBob has struggled through the final corner of the race, and now JT Galato can chase down Macca, and that is what Macca did not need. And actually, not just that, but it's probably what Vic Daddy didn't need as well, because he again has a car between himself and JT Galato. Both are on the medium tyres, so it's still an opportunity for him as the battling continues between Parkour and Hazer. I mean, for these two drivers, P8 is still possible, but they're just battling so much. Parkour running wide again, but like, if they're continuing these battles, they're losing a lot of time to Voicey. I mean, Hazer's 2.5 seconds behind the Ferrari now, and they were in DRS range only a couple of laps ago. So it's clearly having a negative impact on their race long term, or well, at least short term. I just feel the continuous battling isn't helping at all. Oh, and that's not going to help. And contact surely was made. Surely, unless it was some sort of desync on the screen. But it does look like Hazer still has the place. Hopefully no damage for Hazer. And actually, Motion Hazard is ahead of Neon into the top 5. And Thick Daddy is well within a second. Likewise, JT Galato of both Macca and SpongeBob respectively in the lead, and P3. These are the battles for. So we'll just stay then with JT Galato, as he will look to take the lead of the race for the first time since he spun round, which did see him drop down to P5, I believe it was at the time. Meanwhile, we've still only got the one retirement from the race, that is UFRL. Red Bull started down the order. But now JT Galato well within DRS range. It doesn't look like he's closing in quickly enough. Whereas Thick Daddy certainly is closing in quickly enough. He has overtaken SpongeBob. JT Galato has failed to overtake Macca. So again, they are level on track. It's JT Galato ahead of Thick Daddy. No cars separating them at the moment. And now what Thick Daddy needs is for Macca to hold up JT Galato for as long as possible and allow for Thick Daddy to close the gap. And continuous moves being made at the back, and in fact Parkour is now battling away with Bucky. This has enabled the McLaren to be in it, and it also enabled Usain Bolt and Iron Bro. So it's now a 5-way battle for P10. Of course, everyone will still take points, but this is going to be entertaining for these drivers, that's for sure. We'll go back then with the battle between Macca and JT Galato. Thick Daddy still retains a 1.4 second deficit, but it is decreasing actually. 1.2 seconds now. There's certainly movement on screen, unfortunately, between the pairing, and yellow flags. It is one of the Ferraris, and it is a full course safety car. Lap 21 of 28. We have got the full course safety car. Macca has the lead of the race. And this is the moment where soft tyres enter the fray. I would say for the first time. Mr. Poem is on softs, but has only just gone onto the softs. He has a drive-through penalty, actually. But now, surely soft tyres will be flying on. Maybe, if you're not fielding the softs, you may opt for a new set of mediums. Mr. Poem actually has retired from the session. If you're not keen on the softs, then mediums are a viable option, I suppose. But we'll see then. We'll open up with FGE Macca. Does he opt to pit from his hard tyres? The issue is, if you were to pit and everyone else behind you stays out, he will be quite a way down. He might be behind potentially Voicey. And yeah, he is pitting. What about JT Galato? He pits opposite to Macca, so he's not pitting. SpongeBob is pitting. Thick Daddy stays out and stays with JT Galato. And there may be a medium tyre battle between the pairing. Quite a few are pitting, actually. So 5 of the top 7 have pitted. Josh has pitted now. Voicey is pitting. So yeah, everyone actually seemingly is going into the pit. So it will mean Macca will be out in P3 on fresh mediums. Hazer pitting. And yeah, I'm not too surprised that there are maybe a couple who opt for mediums rather than soft at this stage. It's just all about how much time can you gain out of the softs before they drop off. And it wouldn't shock me if you can only get a couple of laps out of them. Since the update in the game, the soft tyres haven't been overly useful, unfortunately. Which for me, I feel like personally, like you see some of the races in real Formula 1, softs to mediums in a 100% race can be a viable strategy at some tracks. you'll struggle to do that in a 50% race in the game, and that's something that I'm not too keen on personally. I think softs to mediums should be a viable strategy for me, but there you go. Unfortunately, it's not. Just the softs in general just aren't too useful. Hopefully I can be proven wrong here though. But the top three are all on medium tyres. Macca on the freshest of the trio. But at least we're back at it where those three, who I was saying in qualifying did look the quickest, they are right up there. So at this moment in time it's going to be difficult to predict who will get the win. Unfortunately for the likes of SpongeBob and Motion Hazard, they are on softs but they have penalties. Neon, no penalties on softs though, so maybe he has a chance. So Voicey and Creme both opting also for fresh mediums. Everyone else on fresh softs except for the top two. JT Gelato and Thick Daddy, the only two to stay out on track. So track position has been gained, yes, but not much as they were already P2 and P3. Whereas for pretty much most of the drivers, P4 downwards haven't lost any places. I mean, you may have lost one or two spots in the pits potentially, but certainly in the case of SpongeBob, doesn't lose any positions. Macca did lose two. Was it worth going on the fresh mediums is the question. But maybe he just felt he was going to be overtaken by JT Gelato and Thick Daddy anyway, so why not give something different a go? Oh, as Creme has picked up a 3-second penalty under the safety car in his pursuit of chasing down the drivers ahead, of which he is not far behind anyway. So, very unnecessary to pick up the penalty. Hopefully this lap the safety car will be in if Creme is able to catch up soon enough. Surely he is. Come on, tell us that the safety car will be in this lap. Come on game, you can do it. Ah, there you go, perfect. Safety car is indeed in this lap. So it will be JT Gelato, Thick Daddy and Macca at the front. I will go on board with Macca once again. It's kind of actually... don't know, maybe I should go with SpongeBob, see how his softs go as JT Gelato has gone. And Thick Daddy's actually lost a bit of time. Macca, who looks like they could be in a position. Yellow flags at the back. Possibly Usain Bolt has dropped off a lot. Whereas Black Box is right behind him. Reasonable gaps for the majority of the field. No places gained or lost so far through the safety car period. As Jamie picks up a 3-second penalty. And also Black Box. I'm starting to feel maybe within the next couple of laps I will get the penalty situation up and also the gap to the leader. So we can have a bit of fun seeing where drivers may finish. As Voicey does take the place of Hazer. Gotta say Hazer has certainly struggled to what I would have expected from him. He has been stronger in the race, don't get me wrong, but not as strong as I was anticipating, as Bucky and Parkour also battling away. Parkour all over the rear wing of Bucky, but not able to retake P12 just yet. Oh, and Ironbro is ahead of Voicey, who has now dropped a couple of places since the safety car restart. And those mediums struggling up against the softs. Thick Daddy has lost out and is already over a second behind JT Gelato. And I will now go to that battle because Macca is well within half a second of Thick Daddy ahead. And those fresh medium tyres certainly working better for Macca right now. Through the S's we go. Still no DRS available. And more battling going on further back then. Voicey and Bucky right at it. You've also got Parkour trying to keep Rusted Bolt at bay. Steelane also included in this battle. So it's been some solid midfield displays for sure. What about Josh and Hazer? Looks like Hazer may be in a position to take the place of Josh and move into the top 8. And I think that's what the Mercedes will do. Round the outside on the back straight. Just now the question is, can Josh hold position down the inside? No, he slots in behind. And that will mean Hazer in P8 now. Further ahead we've still got Macca behind Thick Daddy. And now I'm going to change this to the gap to the leader and have the penalty situation on board. As Hazer is ahead of... No, Josh is ahead of Hazer. They are going side by side. And Josh is now back ahead into the top 8 and DRS is enabled. So we will have now 3 laps of DRS battling also Parkour and Rusted Bolt, who is now in the pits. Potentially had damage, and now Thick Daddy still struggling to keep Macca behind. And Thick Daddy will be aware that Macca will have DRS this lap to close the gap to the top 2 and should surely be able to pass Thick Daddy this lap. And who knows if they can work together with DRS now being enabled. There's a chance they can catch up to JT Ganato. So let's see now, surely now, Macca with DRS. Is he closing in? He's not closing in enough. Nowhere near close enough to Thick Daddy. Thick Daddy stays in P2 fairly comfortably, you have to say. He must have used a fair bit of his ERS, you presume. But maybe his wings are low enough. So in a straight line speed he is very quick. And what I've seen so far, Macca has been quick in a straight line as well. So I was a bit surprised Macca has not closed up enough. SpongeBob's still right behind, but he still has those 9 seconds of penalties. So the podium spots are all but confirmed for JT Ganato, Thick Daddy and FGE Macca. Sadly for Parkour, 12 seconds of penalties will cost her dearly as she will drop back to what looks like P16 at the moment. There's potential that Steelane and Usain Bolt could get themselves into the top 10 with penalties ahead. Parkour has actually got another 3 seconds of penalties. 15 seconds in total for Parkour. I do wonder if all those 15 seconds were from Liesis maybe. You can imagine a lot of it was Krem also picking up a further 3 seconds, 9 in total. Can Macca make the pass this lap? Is this to take P2 in the race? JT Ganato has surely got the win secured here at the Circuit of the Americas. What I would say is quite a comfortable display. Despite the spin dropping down to P5, JT Ganato has looked very strong. I'm sure Macca will tell you that he couldn't have got any better than P3 if he stayed on the hard tyres. Maybe that was his feeling, but he surely can still take P2. Just depends how much ERS Thick Daddy has left. It'll be interesting to see if he can keep Macca behind as we are on the final lap of the race and at the Circuit of the Americas in Tier 1 in UFRL, and actually Thick Daddy takes a wider line, but keeps Maka behind, heading back through the S's. Unfortunately, I'm not able to catch up too much action behind because of this battle for P2. We'll try and keep an eye on any position changes further back though. And Mako is a lot closer this time around, as Hazard now picked up a further 3 seconds. And that will cost him the place to Neon, who will finish in the top 4 as things stands. But Maka now, is he close enough? He's got DRS. And actually Thick Daddy has ran out of ERS. And surely now Maka, round the outside, from the back straight, potentially contact made. Thick Daddy parks his car well enough and is still ahead of Maka. And again, Maka with greater drive, looks for the inside line, not quite able to make it. Usain Bolt retiring from the session. Maka still all over the back of Thick Daddy, who will take P2. Surely this will be the podium for JT Galato, Thick Daddy and Maka. And going around the final couple of corners. Is Maka able to make the pass? I don't think he will be able to. And JT Galato will take the win. Unfortunately, we're not on board with him because of this battle for P2. And it's Thick Daddy who takes P2 ahead of Maka. An epic drive, an epic battle for the pairing. Neon is P4. Then you've got Motion Hazard through to Sponge with Jamie. Ironbro takes P8. And let's see further back. Does Steelane Vice position? He does just about take P12. You do wonder if he had fuel difficulties at the end, actually. Voicey P13 from Krem Parkour dropping way back to P15. Then you've got Black Box about to come through. But he will lose the place to Rusted Bolt. And I will switch now to your race winner. JT Galato once more takes the victory in the Alfa Romeo. Is he going to take the title by storm? Or someone will be able to stop him. Can they do it? But there you go, another victory for JT Galato in Tier 1. And from what I saw, I've got to say, very good driving for the majority of the drivers from what I saw. Very well done for Tier 1 tonight. Here are the podium celebrations then. And now I'm going to have to think through who the driver of the day contenders are going to be. I don't know if Mrs. P is watching, but am I allowed to do 4 people? Because we had like, what, 17 drivers finish? I feel like picking 3 people is going to be very, very difficult. But anyways, there you go. Here are the full results. And JT Galato, Thick Daddy and Maka. No real surprise with those 3 being right up there at the end. And they stay in the positions, as does Neon meanwhile as well. So the top 4 staying put, but it wasn't as easy as that. Motion Hazard does take P5 from SpongeBob and Jamie, who also hold positions. Quite a few holding positions. Josh holding position as well. So a lot of the drivers in the top 10 did indeed hold their positions. Ironbro in P8, Hazer making up a lot of ground, as did Bucky. He done very well. Was battling for the majority of the race as well. Okay, I'm going to have to quickly screenshot and then... it's going to be quick, guys. Going through... Oh, yeah, too much. I'll go through as much as I can. Sad, I couldn't get enough of it. But, there you go. So the top 3, no surprise, but we'll see next week if they can keep it up. Wouldn't have thought I'd be saying this, but Thick Daddy, mate, you need to get a bit quicker. Not quick enough. Nah, I'm sure he'll improve as the season goes on. He'll push JT Galato. And I think also Neon I'm very impressed with as well. Maka, of course, delivered very nicely. But there you go. That is your Tier 1 race at the Circuit of the Americas. And we'll be back then tomorrow night. Sadly, I won't be able to race tomorrow, but I think we will have a full grid once more. And if Tier 1 is to say anything with their driving today, I think the majority of it was very clean. A lot of side-by-side action. we might follow suit in Tier 2, but we'll be back then tomorrow night for the 8 o'clock race in Tier 2. Thank you for watching. I have been Viva F1 Comms. We have been UFRL. And there you go. See you again tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.